I mean, me and you, we're blessed to live in this country where there is still some freedom of speech to do what we're doing right now, and we're exercising it to try to make sure we don't lose it. And so it can be disconcerting because we see the tide being pushed and pushed. It seems like this immovable force against us. But history proves to me one thing, and I've always loved history. I've been a history nerd. That's kind of been my thing forever. And what history shows is that when masses of people say no to authority, they win. It's against all odds. And, you know, even when you look back to the French Revolution, and the aftermath of that was not pretty, but, you know, peasants picked up arms when they got too hungry, and they got rid of the royalty. I mean, that tells you right there. It doesn't matter. When the people say enough is enough, they win. And, you know, so I have no doubt that that's going to happen. It's just, again, like I say, we don't want what happened after the French Revolution, you know, which you see in, you know, the movie, the play Les Mis, or Napoleon then comes. I mean, it's not good. We want what happened after the American Revolution. And so, you know, these things can go both ways. And so I'm not concerned about this power structure going away. I'm completely sure it will. I'm more concerned about, you know, winning the debate afterwards, and that's why I speak out now.
You know, it's interesting. You're right about history, and when the people do stand up, they win. I just did an interview not long ago where that was the point my guest made. When the people stand up, the people win. And, you know, you saying that reminds me of Nicolae Ceausescu, who I think in 1989, you know, he was the head of the regime in Romania, and he was a dictator for the ages. He would never be toppled, and in a matter of maybe 48 hours, the people turned against him, the military turned against him, and he and his wife were executed. I mean, you're right. Things can change overnight, just like that. As soon as the people stand up, the power structure, which relies on the people playing along, which relies on the people standing down, the power structure needs that. Once the people won't play along anymore, the people win.
Exactly, and that's why we have to take, again, this internet thing, this social media thing. It is the most powerful tool that we have ever had in human history to educate people, to wake people up, to talk, to discuss, to spread ideas, to spread information. I mean, that's what's to me so disconcerting about some people that think, oh, we can't do it. You know, it is the most powerful, effective, amazing tool humanity has ever had the honor to touch, and it's a shame or disgrace that more people aren't using it, but enough are. And we're gonna take this message is you cannot hide the truth forever. And listen, the only propaganda tool I see that they have control of, there's only one thing I see that they have control of, is the stock market. And I made a statement the other day, on Twitter, which I thought really summed it up. And what I said was this: I said the stock market is to the 1% as food stamps are to the 99%. It's meant to create apathy and obedience. And so that's what's going on right now. So people need to remember that. When you see the stock market going up, it's very intentional. It's very much to keep the 1% in line, right? Thinking things are okay, making money, shutting them up, keeping them obedient. And, you know, that's how you got to look at it. Listen, think about what the stock market is. It's just big companies and their profits. You know, we're losing from this right now. It's not like there's all this innovation. It's just companies are taking more and more of the pie from the people. But people just have been so brainwashed they don't understand. They see the stock market going up and they think, things can't be that bad. When in reality, that's proof that things are really bad because it's the companies taking more of their money.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. It's, we talk a lot about how the haves are taking from the have-nots in this country, and it occurred to me the other day that that's really even true, though, with the mainstream population, right? Those that have don't seem to mind very much that the have-nots are being raped. I mean, the people that work for these corporations, if you work at a Monsanto, if you work at a Walmart, if you're doing great working for Lockheed Martin, you're part of the problem to a large degree, especially if you're doing evil on a daily basis, but you kind of compartmentalize that and you don't care because the checks keep coming. That's really the problem. The crux of our problem is too many decent people play along and accept the system and are a part of it.
Yes. I mean, that's why, listen, I mean, I'm not trying to say like what I did was so amazing or anything, but look, that's partly why, a big part of why I left my job. I mean, I was getting a very nice salary. It was easy for me, and it was cushy. I could have continued on that going forward. All I'd have to do is tweak a little bit. I kind of play the game, but I couldn't. and I felt like I had to step aside. And I've been very, very discouraged by the lack of people in those kind of positions stepping aside or speaking out. It's a real tragedy. But you know what? That's why part of what we're doing, right, is not just trying to expose the power structure and trying to say buy gold and silver and all that. No, it's more than that. It's much more than that. Our country has, and I think we're already coming up from the low, but like we hit a societal crash. I mean, a cultural crash. We started glorifying selfishness, narcissism. Do whatever is best for you. Don't think about the rest. Get what's yours. Who cares? That is what's been glorified in our culture for many, many decades now. And I think we hit a low sometime in the past decade, probably around, I don't know, let's say 2005, 2006, I think was probably the cultural low for America. And I do think we're coming back. But we need to remember this is partly a cultural renaissance that we're trying to get going here. And that's important because if when this system disintegrates on itself, which of course it will, I don't know when, but it will happen. That's a guarantee. We need enough people in this culture that have awakened to a spiritual sense of themselves or to a humanity that does not consist of selfishness and narcissism. And that's how we'll be able to create a better society afterwards. So that's very important for people to acknowledge. And look, if people in the mainstream can't get there, okay, that's fine. But we need to reach out to those that can.
All right. Well, last question for you, because as a student of history, somebody who appreciates American history specifically, Mike, why don't you tell us what your take is on the Second Amendment, the attacks on the Second Amendment? Because without the Second Amendment, we're not going to have a First Amendment. You and I will no longer be able to have these discussions. What did the founders say about the Second Amendment? Why did they give us a Second Amendment, and what does it mean to you?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've written about this a lot. I have very strong opinions on it, and the whole time I've been in this, I've advocated a peaceful civil disobedience, and I continue to. And I don't see myself personally being one to pick up arms and fight that way against the establishment. Now, I'm not saying that it's not necessary to have people that are willing to do that, like, you know, vets or the Army or the police, to say no to any unconstitutional government orders. It's very important. I'm just saying I don't see that as being my particular role or where I can add the most value. But no, I mean, I am fiercely opposed to any gun control at the moment because for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that this government is extraordinarily violent, as you know. We're droning children every day. We're starting new wars overseas every other week, it seems. The administration clearly does not care about children. The administration clearly does not care about violence. They love using violence, and if necessary against children, that's fine too. So I see right through the hypocrisy. And this is what I say to people that are in favor of gun control. I say, look, when our government becomes like Switzerland, okay, when we become a peaceful sort of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, friends with everybody, allies with none kind of thing, and we're not meddling in all parts of the world, then okay, I'll talk about it, right? I could see it then. But I see right through this. This is an attempt to disarm the population ahead of civil unrest or the system crashing. And that I'm not in favor of, because these guys are the ones that did it to us. So I'm sure you better be sure I'm not going to be in favor of them disarming us when they destroyed us. So no, I am fiercely for the Second Amendment. I also think that that maybe it's the issue that'll help wake more people up to how hypocritical or tyrannical the government is. So those are the reasons that I am very much in favor of the Second Amendment. Even though I don't think violent revolution or anything like that is a good idea or will bring us what we want, I am against all gun control at this point for the reasons I stated.
Well, we've sort of come full circle, too, because we started part of our call talking about the power of the Queen there in England. And, you know, our founders, of course, fought against King George to give us our freedoms. And then we see Piers Morgan on an American network, CNN, you know, who is a subject. He's a royal subject. He's not an American citizen. And who has got the loudest voice, aside from maybe Obama and Biden, about taking our guns? Piers Morgan. I mean, well, how ironic is that?
Well, it's interesting because also when you get off, I posted it right before we did the interview. If you guys get a chance to check it out, it talks about this woman, Mary. I can't pronounce her last name, but she wrote an article in the UK's Independent, another British citizen, basically saying why Obama needs a third term. So it's like I joked. I was like, oh, who would have thought the second British invasion would be Piers Morgan and Mary, whatever her name is. You know, I miss the Beatles. It's really interesting how you've got all these, subjects of the Queen telling us, we need to disarm. We need to, Obama needs a third term. I mean, she actually said Obama needs a third term for the good of the planet. I kid you not. So yeah, it's amazing. Look, they're coming back with some aggressive propaganda. We need to be able to defend, but it's amazing to see what's going on out there.
Yeah, it really is incredible. But when you know the truth, when you understand false flag terrorism, you understand how these things are used against the people time and time and time and time again throughout history. It's so interesting to watch all of this happen because you and I and those listening see it and process it differently than the sheeple people. And that's, I think, what's really fascinating about it.
Well, look, I mean, what people don't want to admit, but is true, and it's obvious when you pay attention, is that, look, the days of Games of Thrones, if you watch that show, it's excellent. I'm watching season 1 again right now. But where you see how people that get into positions of high imperial federal power, how they think, how they operate, how ruthless they are, people have been conned into thinking these people don't exist today, or they're not in high positions of government today. Of course they are. They're here, they're now. Human nature doesn't change. We're dealing with the same sort of feudal thugs we've always had to deal with. So that's why you call them sheeple, because the sheeple they don't know anything. And they're certainly not willing to admit something scary like that. But for us that are adults and are understand that this is an eternal battle that we're facing, and it's always been a battle and it's still a battle. And if we're willing to fight it, we need to. We're adults and we're grown up, and we know there's really nasty people that have gotten control of the levers of power in the United States and globally, and we need to deal with them.
Yeah, you're right. And, each of us only has one life to live. I mean, we're only on this planet for a very short period of time, so you may as well throw your skin in the game. You may as well speak out. You may as well help us reach that tipping point, because the sooner we, hit it, Mike, as you know, and as I've been talking about, the sooner we can take our country back and hopefully keep it for generations to come. Well, I sure do appreciate your voice and your time, Mike. Thanks so much. And I advise everybody to check out libertyblitzkrieg.com every single day, because Mike is constantly putting up original, great articles and, his spin on other articles he's seeing. Why don't you tell people a little bit about Liberty Blitzkrieg?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So I launched the blog in April of last year. I redid it a little bit in September. It's doing great. I've now decided to shift my focus from the financial markets to the blog full time for a lot of reasons, but mainly because I'm much more passionate about the blog than I am about investing these days, and it's a much more effective medium for me to sort of do what I want to do in this time that we're in. And that was an interesting decision, because I didn't, when I left Bernstein, I wasn't sure. The whole idea was to take a couple of years and see what I really wanted to do, and for now, this is it. So, I'm spending 90% of my time on this blog. So I definitely encourage people to check it up. Sign up to get the updates if you want, and then I have an active Twitter account at Liberty Blitz. I'm tweeting a lot, so if you're on Twitter, and I suggest you should be, because it's amazing as far as an informational source, to follow me. And that's really it, man. Thanks.
Well, thank you. And for those of us who aren't asking for contributions, we're not asking you to give us money. We're not making you sign up for a subscription. Support the advertisers. That's how guys like Mike and me can make a little bit of money to help keep this thing going, especially for a guy like Mike who's now doing it full time. It takes a lot of courage, Mike. So we wish you only the very best. And, again, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, Sean, and I appreciate all that you do as well.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care, bud.
Well, guys, that'll do it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please tune in to sgtreport.com for the very latest in alternative news, and check out thelibertymill.com. Real news 24/7. Thanks for watching.